In this video, you'll discover 100 sample questions from Domain 1 of CISSP, which will help you master the module of Security and Risk Management. It will not only help to prepare for the CISSP exam but also boost your competence. After each question, pause the video to give your answer and then check whether you are correct or not. Let's get started. 1. A project manager is concerned about the potential for social engineering attacks targeting new hires who are unfamiliar with corporate security protocols. The manager wants to implement a measure that will proactively prevent such incidents from occurring. Which type of control should be prioritized? A. Detective. B. Corrective. C. Compensating. D. Preventive. The correct answer is D. Preventive. Explanation. A preventive control is intended to avoid a security incident from happening in the first place, such as security awareness training for new hires. Option A. A detective control, for example, monitoring logs for suspicious activity, identifies an incident after it has begun. Option B. A corrective control, for example, system patching, is used to fix an issue after an incident has occurred. Option C. A compensating control, provides an alternative measure of control when a primary control cannot be implemented. 2. A security team is performing a risk assessment for a critical business application. They identify a weakness in the application's code that could be exploited by an attacker to gain unauthorized access to sensitive data. What is the correct term for this weakness? A. Threat. B. Exposure. C. Risk. D. Vulnerability. The correct answer is D. Vulnerability. Explanation. A vulnerability is a weakness in a system that could be exploited by a threat source to compromise security. Option A. A threat is the potential danger associated with exploiting the vulnerability. Option B. Exposure is the state of being exposed to losses from a vulnerability. Option C. Risk is the likelihood of a threat exploiting a vulnerability and the corresponding business impact. 3. A third-party vendor providing a cloud-based customer relationship management (CRM) platform experiences a major service outage. The contract with the vendor includes a clause specifying a 99.9% uptime guarantee. Which aspect of security governance is being addressed by this contractual requirement? A. Due diligence. B. Due care. C. Due process. D. Non-repudiation. The correct answer is A. Due diligence. Explanation. Due diligence is a legal concept that refers to the reasonable steps taken by an organization to investigate a third party before entering into an agreement to ensure the third party has the necessary security controls in place. The contract and its specific clauses, like the uptime guarantee, are evidence of this investigation. Option B. Due care is the level of care an ordinary, reasonable, and prudent person would exercise. Option C. Due process refers to the right of an employee to a fair hearing. Option D. Non-repudiation is a security principle that ensures a party cannot deny an action. 4. During a security awareness training, a CISSP discovers that an employee has been storing customer credit card information on an unencrypted spreadsheet on a local drive to make data analysis easier. The CISSP advises the employee to immediately stop this practice. Which of the ISC2 Code of Professional Ethics canons does this action most directly support? A. Act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly, and legally. B. Protect society, the Commonwealth, and the infrastructure. C. Provide competent and diligent service to principals. D. Advance and protect the profession. The correct answer is B. Protect society, the Commonwealth, and the infrastructure. Explanation. Protecting customer data is a direct way to protect society, as it helps prevent identity theft and financial fraud. Option A. Acting honorably, while relevant, is a broader principle. Option C. Providing competent and diligent service, is about the professional's performance to their employer. Option D. Advancing the profession, is a long-term goal of a security professional. 5. A company is developing a new mobile application that will handle sensitive patient health information. The development team is conducting a security review to identify potential weaknesses in the design. Which methodology would be most effective for this process? A. Business impact analysis, BIA. B. Supply chain risk management, SCRM. C. Threat modeling. D. Continuous monitoring. The correct answer is C. Threat modeling. Explanation. Threat modeling is a methodology used to identify and prioritize potential threats to a system, such as a new mobile application, and is typically conducted during the design and development phases. Option A, a business impact analysis, BIA, focuses on the business functions and their dependencies. Option B, supply chain risk management, SCRM, is concerned with risks from third-party products and services. Option D, continuous monitoring, is an ongoing process after the system is in operation. 6. An organization recently implemented a new policy requiring all employees to use multi-factor authentication for remote access. This policy serves as a high-level statement of management's intent. Which of the following is the next logical step in ensuring the policy is effectively implemented? A. Procedures. B. Standards. C. Guidelines. D. Baseline. The correct answer is B. Standards. Explanation. After a policy is established, standards are the next step. They define the specific requirements and controls needed to meet the policy's objectives, such as specifying the type of multi-factor authentication technology to be used. Procedures are step-by-step instructions. Guidelines are recommendations. A baseline is a starting point for security configuration. 7. A risk manager is reviewing a recent audit report that indicates a new server has an unpatched operating system. The manager is asked to define the most significant risk associated with this finding. Which of the following should the manager emphasize in the description? A. The vulnerability itself. B. The potential for loss. C. The threat agent. D. The lack of a safeguard. The correct answer is B. The potential for loss. Explanation. Risk is a combination of the likelihood of a threat exploiting a vulnerability and the resulting business impact, or potential for loss. While the other options are part of the risk equation, the business impact is the most significant component for a manager to understand, as it relates to the organization's bottom line and mission. 8. An organization's business continuity, BC, plan is being reviewed. The plan details the steps to be taken to ensure critical business functions can continue to operate during and after a disaster. What is the first and most crucial step that must be completed before developing this plan? A. Threat analysis. B. Business impact analysis, BIA. C. Risk assessment. D. Personnel screening. The correct answer is B. Business impact analysis, BIA. Explanation. The business impact analysis, BIA, is the foundational step for business continuity planning. It identifies the organization's critical business processes and the impact that a disruption would have on them, which in turn determines the recovery priorities. Threat analysis and risk assessment are components of the BIA, but the BIA itself is the overall process. 9. A company is evaluating a potential new business partner that will have access to its customer data. Which of the following is the most important consideration from a risk management perspective? A. The business partner's data storage costs. B. The business partner's financial health. C. The business partner's adherence to security requirements. D. The business partner's marketing strategy. The correct answer is C. The business partner's adherence to security requirements. Explanation. A core principle of supply chain risk management is that while an organization can outsource a function, it cannot outsource the risk. Therefore, ensuring the business partner adheres to minimum security requirements is the most critical factor to mitigate risk to the organization's data. 10. A security manager is implementing a program to continuously monitor the organization's security posture. They want to ensure the program's effectiveness can be measured and tracked over time. Which international standard would be most helpful in guiding the development of security metrics? A. ISO/IEC 27004. B. ISO/IEC 27001. C. NIST SP 800-53. D. COBIT 5. The correct answer is A. ISO/IEC 27004. Explanation: ISO/IEC 27004:2016 is the international standard specifically for information security measurement management. It provides guidelines for developing and using metrics to assess the effectiveness of an information security management system, ISMS. ISO/IEC 27001 outlines the ISMS itself. NIST SP 800-53 and COBIT are security control and governance frameworks. 11. A security professional is responsible for developing a security program that aligns with the organization's business strategy and objectives. The professional wants to use a framework that provides a holistic approach to IT governance. Which of the following frameworks is best suited for this purpose? A. ISO 27001. B. SABSA. C. COBIT. D. NIST SP 800-53. The correct answer is C. COBIT. Explanation: COBIT, Control Objectives for Information and Related Technology, is a business framework for the governance and management of enterprise IT, emphasizing alignment with business goals. ISO 27001 is a standard for an information security management system, ISMS. SABSA is a model for security enterprise architecture. NIST SP 800-53 is a set of security and privacy controls for federal information systems. 12. An organization implements a policy stating that all employees must complete mandatory security awareness training annually. This policy is an example of which type of security control? A. Physical. B. Technical. C. Administrative. D. Compensating. The correct answer is C. Administrative. Explanation: security awareness training is a procedural or administrative control, which is management-oriented and defines how security should be implemented. A physical control, for example, locks, protects the physical environment, while a technical control, for example, encryption, uses technology to enforce security. A compensating control provides an alternative measure of control. 13. A manager is reviewing the organization's current threat landscape. A primary concern is a new form of malware that can corrupt the data stored on an organization's servers. Which of the following security principles is most at risk from this threat? A. Confidentiality. B. Availability. C. Integrity. D. Non-repudiation. The correct answer is C. Integrity. Explanation: integrity ensures the accuracy and reliability of information and systems, and prevents unauthorized modification or corruption. Malware that corrupts data directly attacks this principle. Confidentiality protects against unauthorized disclosure, and availability ensures timely access. Non-repudiation ensures a party cannot deny an action. 14. A company provides a platform for online financial transactions. A recent security audit found that the system's logging capabilities are insufficient to reconstruct a series of transactions in case of a dispute. Which security principle is most impacted by this deficiency? A. Confidentiality. B. Availability. C. Integrity. D. Non-repudiation. The correct answer is D. Non-repudiation. Explanation: non-repudiation ensures that a party cannot deny having performed an action, which is often enabled by robust logging and auditing. Without the ability to reconstruct transactions from logs, a party could deny a transaction. The other principles, confidentiality, availability, and integrity, are not directly addressed by the logging capabilities. 15. A manager is tasked with establishing a new security awareness program. The manager wants to ensure the program's content is engaging and effective. Which of the following techniques would be most effective in increasing employee engagement? A. Social engineering tests. B. Periodic content reviews. C. Phishing simulations. D. Gamification. The correct answer is D. Gamification. Explanation. Gamification, which involves using game design elements in non-game contexts, is an effective way to make security training engaging and memorable for employees. Phishing simulations and social engineering tests are valuable but are forms of a test, not an engaging training method. Periodic content reviews ensure the program stays relevant. 16. A security consultant is advising a multinational corporation on data privacy. The corporation has offices in the European Union and the United States. Which of the following is the most critical issue for the consultant to address regarding data flow between these regions? A. Intellectual property rights. B. Cybercrime laws. C. Transporter data flow regulations. D. Import-export controls. The correct answer is C. Transporter data flow regulations. Explanation. Transporter data flow regulations, such as those related to the GDPR, govern the movement of personal data across international borders. The consultant must ensure the company's data handling practices comply with these complex and often conflicting international laws to avoid legal and financial penalties. 17. An organization is conducting a risk assessment on its public-facing web servers. The assessment team identifies a potential threat actor as a state-sponsored group known to exploit zero-day vulnerabilities. What is the appropriate term for this group? A. Threat. B. Threat agent. C. Vulnerability. D. Risk. The correct answer is B. Threat agent. Explanation. A threat agent is the entity that takes advantage of a vulnerability. In this case, the state-sponsored group is the entity or agent that poses the danger, threat. A threat is the potential danger itself. A vulnerability is the weakness, and risk is the likelihood and impact. 18. A company is considering a new acquisition of a smaller firm. During the due diligence process, a cybersecurity team discovers the acquired firm's security policies are underdeveloped. From a security governance standpoint, what is the most important next step? A. Implement the acquiring company's security policies immediately. B. Conduct a full security audit of the acquired firm's assets. C. Develop a plan to align the acquired firm's security program with the acquiring company's. D. Report the findings to the legal department for review. The correct answer is C. Develop a plan to align the acquired firm's security program with the acquiring company's. Explanation. In an acquisition, a manager's primary responsibility is to ensure the security programs are aligned to protect the combined entity. Developing a plan to align the security program is a key aspect of security governance during an acquisition. Simply implementing policies immediately may cause business disruption, while a full audit is part of the alignment process. 19. An IT manager is conducting an internal audit and discovers that several employees in the finance department have not signed the new Acceptable Use Policy, AUP. The manager wants to explain the legal implications of this oversight to a senior executive. Which of the following is the most pertinent legal concept to reference? A. Due care. B. Due process. C. Intellectual property. D. Licensing. The correct answer is A. Due care. Explanation. Due care refers to the level of care an ordinary, reasonable, and prudent person would exercise. An organization that fails to have employees sign and acknowledge an AUP, or other security policies, may be considered negligent and failing to exercise due care, which could expose the company to legal liability in case of a security incident. 20. A security manager is reviewing the company's risk management framework. The manager notes that while the company has strong technical controls, it lacks formal policies and procedures for handling data. Which principle of security governance is most at risk due to this imbalance? A. Confidentiality. B. Defense in depth. C. Integrity. D. Availability. The correct answer is B. Defense in depth. Explanation. Defense in depth is the use of multiple security controls in a layered approach to minimize the probability of a successful attack. A security program that focuses solely on technical controls while neglecting administrative and physical controls is unbalanced and has gaps, which directly compromises the defense-in-depth strategy. 21. A security manager is tasked with evaluating the security posture of a potential vendor who will handle the company's sensitive intellectual property. The manager is using a maturity model to assess the vendor's risk management processes. Which concept is the manager applying? A. Due care. B. Due diligence. C. Continuous improvement. D. Threat modeling. The correct answer is C. Continuous improvement. Explanation. Continuous improvement in risk management involves the ongoing process of refining and enhancing an organization's security posture over time. Using a maturity model to evaluate a vendor's processes is a form of continuous improvement, as it helps identify areas for enhancement and ensures a structured approach to risk management. The other options are incorrect. Due care is the prudent person concept, and due diligence involves researching and investigating a third party. Threat modeling is a specific technique for identifying and prioritizing threats. 22. A company's data protection officer is reviewing a new marketing campaign that involves collecting and processing personal information from customers in Europe. To ensure compliance, the officer must confirm the company's practices align with legal and regulatory requirements. Which of the following is the most relevant regulation? A. Personal Information Protection Law, PIPL. B. General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. C. Payment Card Industry, PCI. D. California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA. The correct answer is B. General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. Explanation. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, is the primary law governing the processing of personal data for individuals within the European Union, EU, and is the most relevant regulation for a company processing data from European customers. The CCPA is a California law, PIPL is a Chinese law, and PCI DSS is a standard for handling payment card data. 23. A security team member discovers a database vulnerability that, if exploited, could allow unauthorized access to customer data. The manager decides to take the database offline and patch the vulnerability immediately to prevent a data breach. Which risk response strategy has the manager chosen? A. Risk acceptance. B. Risk avoidance. C. Risk mitigation. D. Risk transference. The correct answer is C. Risk mitigation. Explanation. Risk mitigation involves taking action to reduce the likelihood or impact of a risk. Taking the database offline to patch it is a direct action to reduce the vulnerability and prevent the data breach. The other options are incorrect. Risk avoidance involves deciding not to perform the activity that carries the risk. Risk acceptance means choosing to do nothing. Risk transference involves shifting the risk to another party, for example, through cybersecurity insurance. 24. A financial services company is developing a new mobile banking application. The development team wants to ensure that the application's design accounts for all potential attack vectors. Which security concept should the team apply during the design phase? A. Defense in depth. B. Separation of duties. C. Least privilege. D. Confidentiality. The correct answer is A. Defense in depth. Explanation. Defense in depth is a strategy that uses multiple layers of security controls to protect a system. Applying this concept during the design phase ensures that the application is built with multiple security layers, such as encryption, authentication, and access controls, to make it resilient to a variety of attacks. The other options are specific security principles or administrative controls, but not a comprehensive strategy for system design. 25. A security manager is preparing a security budget for the upcoming fiscal year. A new government regulation requires specific technical controls to be implemented. The manager must justify the costs to senior leadership. Which security principle is the manager most directly aligning the budget with? A. Confidentiality. B. Due diligence. C. Availability. D. Compliance. The correct answer is D. Compliance. Explanation. Compliance is the act of adhering to a set of laws, regulations, standards, and policies. When a government regulation mandates specific controls, the organization is legally obligated to comply. Therefore, budgeting for these controls is directly aligning the company's financial resources with its compliance requirements. While the controls might also support other principles, compliance is the most direct reason for the expenditure. 26. An employee in the accounting department is suspected of unauthorized access to financial records. The investigation requires a detailed log of all their activities on the company's network. Which type of investigation is being conducted? A. Administrative. B. Civil. C. Criminal. D. Regulatory. The correct answer is A. Administrative. Explanation. An administrative investigation is conducted by an organization to determine if an employee has violated internal policies or procedures. It is internal and focuses on policy violations rather than legal wrongdoing. A civil investigation is for torts or breaches of contract. A criminal investigation is conducted by law enforcement for criminal acts. A regulatory investigation is carried out by a regulatory body. 27. A manager is implementing new security protocols for the onboarding of new employees. The manager wants to ensure all new hires understand their ethical obligations. Which of the following is the most important element to include in their onboarding process? A. ISC2 Code of Professional Ethics. B. Organizational Code of Ethics. C. Security Policy. D. Employee Handbook. The correct answer is B. Organizational Code of Ethics. Explanation. The Organizational Code of Ethics is a company-specific document that details the expected ethical behavior of employees. While the ISC2 code is important for certified professionals, the Organizational Code is directly applicable to all employees. The Security Policy and Employee Handbook are also important, but the Code of Ethics specifically addresses the moral and ethical conduct expected by the company. 28. A company is developing a new product. A manager is concerned about the possibility of an unauthorized person modifying the product's firmware after it has been manufactured. Which of the following supply chain risk management concepts would be most effective in mitigating this risk? A. Software Bill of Materials, SBOM. B. Service Level Agreement, SLA. C. Silicon Root of Trust, ROT. D. Third-party assessment. The correct answer is C. Silicon Root of Trust, ROT. Explanation. A silicon root of trust, ROT, is a hardware component that provides an immutable foundation for a system's security. It can be used to verify the integrity of firmware, preventing unauthorized modifications. An SBOM lists the software components in a product. An SLA defines service requirements. Third-party assessments evaluate a vendor but do not prevent tampering after the product is manufactured. 29. A security analyst identifies an SQL injection vulnerability in a web application. The analyst recommends using a web application firewall, WAF, to block malicious traffic from reaching the application. Which type of control is the WAF? A. Corrective. B. Preventive. C. Detective. D. Compensating. The correct answer is B. Preventive. Explanation. A preventive control is designed to stop an attack from happening. The WAF acts as a barrier to block malicious SQL injection attempts, thereby preventing the vulnerability from being exploited. A detective control would alert on the activity. A corrective control would fix the problem after an attack has occurred. A compensating control would be used as a substitute for another control. 30. An organization is conducting a security audit of its human resources department. The audit reveals that terminated employees still have access to the company's network for several days after their last day of employment. Which of the following is most directly at risk due to this finding? A. Due care. B. Due diligence. C. Personnel security. D. Onboarding procedures. The correct answer is C. Personnel security. Explanation. Personnel security involves the policies and procedures that ensure employees are trustworthy and that their access to systems is managed appropriately throughout their employment lifecycle. The failure to promptly terminate network access for departing employees is a direct lapse in personnel security, which could lead to unauthorized data access. 31. A senior manager is reviewing a report detailing a recent ransomware attack on the company's network. The report states that the attack succeeded because an employee clicked on a malicious link in an email. The manager wants to implement a measure to prevent similar attacks in the future. Which of the following is the most effective solution? A. Employee screening. B. Security Champions Program. C. Vendor agreements. D. Continuous monitoring. The correct answer is B. Security Champions Program. Explanation. A Security Champions program involves training and empowering employees from various departments to be advocates for security within their teams. This can significantly increase security awareness and help identify and report threats like phishing emails, providing a more proactive defense than reactive measures. Employee screening is a hiring process control, vendor agreements are for third parties, and continuous monitoring is a detective control. 32. A security team is performing a security assessment on a new system. They have identified several potential weaknesses and are now determining the likelihood and impact of each weakness being exploited. What concept are they currently focused on? A. Risk analysis. B. Threat identification. C. Vulnerability assessment. D. Supply chain risk management. The correct answer is A. Risk analysis. Explanation. Risk analysis is the process of examining the probability and impact of risks. After identifying threats and vulnerabilities, the next step is to analyze the risk by combining the likelihood of a threat exploiting a vulnerability with the potential impact on the organization. The other options are parts of the broader risk management process. 33. An organization's business continuity (BC) plan includes a section on recovering business operations after a fire at a data center. The plan states that the critical business applications must be restored within 24 hours. What is the correct term for this requirement? A. Recovery Point Objective (RPO). B. Recovery Time Objective (RTO). C. Maximum Tolerable Downtime (MTD). D. Service Level Agreement (SLA). The correct answer is B. Recovery Time Objective (RTO). Explanation. The Recovery Time Objective (RTO) is the maximum acceptable length of time a business process can be offline before the business starts to suffer unacceptable consequences. It specifies the time within which a business function must be restored after a disaster. The RPO is the maximum amount of data loss a business can tolerate. MTD is the total time a system can be down. An SLA is a contractual agreement. 34. A manager is negotiating a contract with a software as a service (SaaS) provider. The contract includes specific requirements for data encryption and access controls to protect the company's data. These requirements are a clear example of which security governance principle? A. Due diligence. B. Due care. C. Separation of duties. D. Non-repudiation. The correct answer is A. Due diligence. Explanation. Due diligence is the act of a reasonable person to investigate before taking action. By including specific security requirements in a contract, the manager is demonstrating due diligence by thoroughly investigating and establishing security expectations with the third-party provider to mitigate risk. Due care is the ongoing prudent person concept. The other two options are security principles, not governance principles. 35. A security professional is asked to evaluate a vendor's security program. The professional uses the NIST cybersecurity framework to assess the vendor's ability to identify, protect, detect, respond to, and recover from cybersecurity incidents. Which security governance principle is being applied? A. Risk acceptance. B. Due diligence. C. Due care. D. Risk transference. The correct answer is B. Due diligence. Explanation. Using a framework like NIST to assess a vendor is a clear example of due diligence. This is a proactive measure to investigate and verify the vendor's security capabilities before a partnership is established. Due care is the ongoing, continuous effort to maintain a security posture. The other two options are risk responses. 36. A company's website is experiencing a distributed denial of service (DDoS) attack, rendering it unavailable to customers. The security team has determined that the attack is overwhelming the web servers with traffic. Which of the following security principles is being primarily compromised? A. Confidentiality. B. Integrity. C. Availability. D. Authenticity. The correct answer is C. Availability. Explanation. Availability ensures that a system or resource is accessible and usable when needed by an authorized user. A DDoS attack, which aims to overwhelm a service and make it inaccessible, is a direct attack on the availability principle. Confidentiality protects against unauthorized disclosure, while integrity protects against unauthorized modification. Authenticity verifies the identity of a user or system. 37. A security manager is reviewing an employee's transfer from the marketing department to the finance department. The manager must ensure the employee's access rights are updated to reflect their new role. This is a critical part of which personnel security process? A. Onboarding. B. Termination. C. Transfer. D. Offboarding. The correct answer is C. Transfer. Explanation. The transfer process within personnel security is a formal procedure for managing an employee's access rights and responsibilities when they change roles or departments. This process ensures the principle of least privilege is maintained by revoking old access and granting new, appropriate access. Onboarding is for new hires, and termination/offboarding is for departing employees. 38. A security professional is leading a new project and needs to determine the appropriate security controls. The professional is using the ISO 27001 standard as a guide. This standard is an example of which type of security governance principle? A. Organizational role. B. Due diligence. C. Security control framework. D. Professional ethics. The correct answer is C. Security control framework. Explanation. A security control framework, such as ISO 27001, provides a structured and systematic approach for managing an organization's security and implementing security controls. This framework ensures that the security program is aligned with international best practices. The other options are incorrect. Organizational roles are specific to personnel. Due diligence is a legal concept. Professional ethics is a code of conduct. 39. An organization recently experienced a cyber attack that resulted in the exfiltration of customer data. The manager wants to ensure the company is financially prepared for similar incidents in the future. Which risk response strategy is the manager considering? A. Risk acceptance. B. Risk transference. C. Risk mitigation. D. Risk avoidance. The correct answer is B. Risk transference. Explanation. Risk transference involves shifting the financial burden of a risk to another party. Purchasing cybersecurity insurance is a classic example of risk transference, as it allows the company to transfer the financial impact of a data breach to the insurance provider. The other options are incorrect. Risk acceptance means taking no action. Risk mitigation reduces the risk. Risk avoidance means not performing the activity. 40. A manager is overseeing the development of new security policies and wants to ensure they are actionable and well-defined. Which of the following provides the most detailed, step-by-step instructions for employees to follow? A. Policy. B. Guideline. C. Standard. D. Procedure. The correct answer is D. Procedure. Explanation. Procedures are the most detailed and prescriptive documents in a security policy framework. They provide the step-by-step instructions that an employee must follow to ensure compliance with a security policy and its associated standards. Policies are high-level statements. Standards define specific requirements. Guidelines offer recommendations. 41. A security manager is reviewing the company's business continuity plan. The manager notes that the plan identifies the maximum amount of data loss that the company can tolerate in a disaster scenario. What is this concept called? A. Recovery time objective, RTO. B. Maximum tolerable downtime, MTD. C. Recovery point objective, RPO. D. Service level agreement, SLA. The correct answer is C. Recovery point objective, RPO. Explanation. The recovery point objective, RPO, is the maximum acceptable amount of data loss, measured in time, that an organization can sustain during an unplanned event. This value dictates the frequency of data backups. RTO is the maximum time to restore a business function, MTD is the total time a business process can be down, and an SLA is a contractual agreement. 42. A senior security analyst is creating a new security policy for the use of mobile devices. The policy is a high-level statement that outlines the organization's strategic vision for mobile device security. What is this type of document called? A. Guideline. B. Procedure. C. Standard. D. Policy. The correct answer is D. Policy. Explanation. A policy is a high-level, overarching document that states management's intent and direction. It provides the foundation for the organization's security program. Procedures are step-by-step instructions. Standards are mandatory requirements. Guidelines are recommendations. 43. An organization's CEO is concerned about a recent cybercrime report highlighting an increase in intellectual property theft. The CEO asks the security manager to explain how the company's policies protect its software and trade secrets. Which type of intellectual property protection should the manager describe? A. Patent. B. Trademark. C. Copyright and trade secret. D. Licensing. The correct answer is C. Copyright and trade secret. Explanation. Copyright is the legal right of an author or creator to control the use and distribution of their work, which applies to software code. A trade secret is confidential information that gives a business a competitive advantage and is protected by keeping it secret. A patent protects an invention, and a trademark protects a brand. 44. A security manager is evaluating a new third-party cloud provider. The provider's service agreement specifies that it is responsible for the security of the underlying infrastructure, while the customer is responsible for the security of the data and applications. What is this model an example of? A. Due diligence. B. Shared responsibility model. C. Due care. D. Risk transference. The correct answer is B. Shared responsibility model. Explanation. The shared responsibility model is a cloud security framework where the cloud provider and the customer share security responsibilities. This model clarifies which party is responsible for which security aspects, such as the provider handling the physical infrastructure and the customer managing their own data. This is a form of risk management. 45. A manager is tasked with designing a new access control system for the data center. The manager implements a system that requires two different employees to approve any changes to a critical system configuration. Which security principle is being applied? A. Least privilege. B. Separation of duties. C. Defense in depth. D. Confidentiality. The correct answer is B. Separation of duties. Explanation. Separation of duties is a control that divides tasks and privileges among multiple employees to prevent any single individual from having too much control or being able to commit fraud or sabotage alone. Requiring two approvals for a critical change is a direct application of this principle. The other options are incorrect as they do not address the division of a task. 46. A security analyst identifies a vulnerability in a third-party application. The vendor has released a patch, and the manager decides to apply the patch immediately to fix the weakness. Which type of control is applying the patch? A. Preventive. B. Detective. C. Corrective. D. Compensating. The correct answer is C. Corrective. Explanation. A corrective control is designed to fix a problem or flaw that has been identified. Applying a patch to a vulnerability is a prime example of a corrective control, as it fixes the security weakness after it has been discovered. The other options are incorrect. A preventive control stops an incident from occurring. A detective control identifies an incident. A compensating control is an alternative control. 47. A company is developing a new information system. During the design phase, the security team is using the STRIDE model to identify and classify potential threats. This activity is part of what process? A. Business impact analysis, BIA. B. Threat modeling. C. Risk assessment. D. Continuous monitoring. The correct answer is B. Threat modeling. Explanation. Threat modeling is a structured process for identifying and prioritizing potential threats to a system. The STRIDE model, spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service, elevation of privilege, is a specific methodology used within threat modeling to categorize these threats. This is a proactive measure during the design phase. 48. A manager is reviewing the organization's data protection strategy. The manager is concerned about the unauthorized disclosure of sensitive data. Which security principle is the manager primarily addressing? A. Availability. B. Integrity. C. Confidentiality. D. Non-repudiation. The correct answer is C. Confidentiality. Explanation. Confidentiality is the principle that ensures that information is not disclosed to unauthorized individuals, entities, or processes. The unauthorized disclosure of sensitive data is a direct violation of this principle, so the manager is rightly focused on ensuring confidentiality is maintained. 49. A company's IT department is implementing a new anti-malware solution. The security manager wants to ensure the solution is configured to meet specific security requirements, such as daily signature updates. What is the document that specifies these requirements? A. Procedure. B. Policy. C. Guideline. D. Standard. The correct answer is D. Standard. Explanation. A standard is a mandatory requirement that specifies the details of how to implement a policy. In this case, the policy might state that all systems must be protected from malware, and the standard would specify that the anti-malware solution must be configured for daily signature updates. 50. An organization is conducting a risk assessment. The team identifies that the company's customer database is highly valuable and, if breached, could cause significant financial and reputational damage. What is the correct term for the potential for loss in this scenario? A. Threat. B. Vulnerability. C. Risk. D. Exposure. The correct answer is D. Exposure. Explanation. Exposure is the state of being subject to a loss. In this context, the high value of the customer database means that the organization has significant exposure to loss if it is compromised. Risk is the combination of the threat, vulnerability, and exposure. 51. A security professional is tasked with training all new hires on the company's security policies and procedures. The professional must ensure the training program is effective and engaging. Which technique should be used to achieve this goal? A. Gamification. B. Phishing simulations. C. Social engineering tests. D. Annual review. The correct answer is A. Gamification. Explanation. Gamification, which incorporates game mechanics into non-game contexts like training, is a highly effective way to increase engagement and make training more interactive and memorable. Phishing simulations and social engineering tests are valuable tools for measuring awareness, but they are not the primary method for training itself. An annual review is a frequency, not a technique. 52. A project manager for a new web application is concerned about legal and privacy issues, particularly concerning the transfer of data across international borders. The application will be used by customers in multiple countries. Which legal concept is most relevant? A. Import-export controls. B. Cybercrimes. C. Transborder data flow. D. Licensing. The correct answer is C. Transborder data flow. Explanation. Transborder data flow refers to the transfer of data across national borders. As a manager, understanding and complying with the various and often conflicting laws regarding the movement of data between countries is a critical legal and compliance issue. The other options are not as directly relevant to the international movement of data. 53. A security manager is reviewing a report on the effectiveness of the company's security awareness program. The report shows that while employees are aware of the policies, their behavior has not changed. The manager decides to implement a new program that recognizes and rewards employees for good security practices. This is an example of what? A. Risk transference. B. Continuous monitoring. C. Continuous improvement. D. Due care. The correct answer is C. Continuous improvement. Explanation. Continuous improvement is a key concept in risk management and security governance. By evaluating the program's effectiveness and making changes to improve it, such as adding a reward system, the manager is engaging in a continuous improvement process. 54. A company is developing a new payment processing system. The security manager is concerned that an employee could use the system to process fraudulent transactions. Which personnel security measure should be implemented to prevent this? A. Mandatory vacations. B. Candidate screening. C. Non-disclosure agreements. D. Onboarding. The correct answer is A. Mandatory vacations. Explanation. Mandatory vacations require employees to take a designated period of time off, during which another employee assumes their responsibilities. This is a key control for detecting fraud, as a fraudulent employee cannot cover their tracks while away. This is more direct than candidate screening or NDAs for detecting ongoing fraud. 55. A security manager is reviewing a new contract for a third-party vendor that will have access to the company's critical systems. The manager includes a clause that requires the vendor to be audited annually by a third-party security firm. This clause is an example of which security concept? A. Due care. B. Due diligence. C. Licensing. D. Intellectual property. The correct answer is B. Due diligence. Explanation. Due diligence is the act of investigating a third party before entering into a contract with them. Requiring an annual audit is a proactive measure that demonstrates due diligence by ensuring the vendor maintains a sufficient level of security throughout the partnership. Due care is the ongoing, continuous effort. 56. A security professional is providing guidance to new employees on how to handle sensitive information. The professional explains that sensitive data should not be discussed in public places. This is an example of which security concept? A. Non-repudiation. B. Integrity. C. Confidentiality. D. Availability. The correct answer is C. Confidentiality. Explanation. Confidentiality is the principle of ensuring that information is not disclosed to unauthorized parties. The instruction not to discuss sensitive data in public is a direct measure to protect the confidentiality of that information from unauthorized listeners. 57. A company is considering a new cloud service that stores and processes customer data. The manager wants to ensure the company's legal obligations regarding data privacy are met. Which of the following is most relevant to the manager's concern? A. Contractual, legal, industry standards, and regulatory requirements. B. Organizational roles and responsibilities. C. Alignment of the security function to business strategy. D. Security control frameworks. The correct answer is A. Contractual, legal, industry standards, and regulatory requirements. Explanation. The most relevant concern is ensuring the cloud service complies with all applicable contractual, legal, industry standards, and regulatory requirements, such as GDPR or PCI DSS. These requirements are the specific obligations the company must meet to protect customer data. The other options are important, but they are not the direct legal concern. 58. A security manager is asked to create a plan for responding to a major security incident, such as a data breach. The manager wants to use a well-known framework to guide the response. Which framework is most appropriate? A. COBIT. B. NIST SP 800-61. C. ISO 27001. D. Sherwood Applied Business Security Architecture, SABSA. The correct answer is B. NIST SP 800-61. Explanation. NIST SP 800-61, Computer Security Incident Handling Guide, provides a structured and detailed framework for responding to security incidents. COBIT and ISO 27001 are broader governance and management frameworks, while SABSA is an enterprise architecture framework. 59. A company is implementing a new system that will store and process credit card data. The manager must ensure the system meets the security requirements for handling this type of information. Which industry standard is most relevant? A. ISO 27001. B. PCI DSS. C. NIST SP 800-53. D. COBIT. The correct answer is B. PCI DSS. Explanation. The Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS, is the most relevant standard for any organization that stores, processes, or transmits credit card data. It is a set of security standards and requirements that must be met to ensure the security of cardholder data. The other options are broader frameworks and standards. 60. A security manager is working with the legal department to draft employment agreements for new hires. The manager wants to include clauses that protect the company's confidential information. What is the most appropriate type of clause to include? A. Non-disclosure agreement, NDA. B. Non-compete clause. C. Mandatory vacation policy. D. Due care clause. The correct answer is A. Non-disclosure agreement, NDA. Explanation. A non-disclosure agreement, NDA, is a legal contract that obligates an employee to protect confidential and proprietary information. It is the most appropriate clause to include in an employment agreement to legally enforce the protection of sensitive information. The other options are incorrect. 61. A manager is conducting a business impact analysis, BIA. The manager is collecting data on the various business functions and the financial and operational impact that a disruption to each function would have on the company. What is the primary purpose of this activity? A. To determine the scope of a disaster recovery plan. B. To identify potential threats. C. To prioritize business functions for recovery. D. To identify legal and regulatory requirements. The correct answer is C. To prioritize business functions for recovery. Explanation. The primary purpose of a BIA is to identify and prioritize critical business functions and the impact of their disruption. This information is then used to determine the order in which these functions must be restored after a disaster, forming the foundation of the business continuity plan. While it may inform other aspects, prioritization is its central purpose. 62. A security manager is reviewing a new cloud service provider contract. The contract includes a clause stating that the provider will comply with all relevant industry standards and regulatory requirements. This is an example of which security governance principle? A. Due care. B. Due diligence. C. Intellectual property. D. Organizational roles. The correct answer is B. Due diligence. Explanation. Due diligence is the act of investigating a third party to ensure they are competent and trustworthy before entering into an agreement. Requiring the provider to comply with standards and regulations is a key component of this investigation and a way to demonstrate that the organization has done its due diligence. 63. An organization's CEO wants to implement a new policy that states all sensitive data must be encrypted in transit and at rest. This high-level statement is an example of which type of document? A. Guideline. B. Standard. C. Policy. D. Procedure. The correct answer is C. Policy. Explanation. A policy is a high-level statement from senior management that outlines the organization's strategic intent and direction. It provides the foundation for more detailed documents like standards, procedures, and guidelines. The other options are subordinate to the policy. 64. A security manager is conducting a threat analysis on a new system. The manager identifies a new, sophisticated malware family that can bypass traditional anti-malware software. What is the correct term for this malware family in a risk management context? A. Vulnerability. B. Exposure. C. Threat. D. Risk. The correct answer is C. Threat. Explanation. A threat is a potential danger that is always present. In this case, the malware family is the potential danger that could exploit a vulnerability to harm the system. A vulnerability is a weakness, exposure is the potential for loss, and risk is the combination of all three elements. 65. An employee is discovered to have secretly installed software on a company laptop that allows them to access the company's network after hours, in direct violation of the acceptable use policy. Which of the ISC2 Code of Professional Ethics canons has the employee most directly violated? A. Protect society, the Commonwealth, and the infrastructure. B. Act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly, and legally. C. Provide competent and diligent service to principals. D. Advance and protect the profession. The correct answer is B. Act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly, and legally. Explanation. By violating the company's policy and engaging in unauthorized activity, the employee has directly acted dishonestly and illegally. This behavior is a direct violation of this specific ISC2 canon, which is a broad but fundamental ethical principle. The other canons are not as directly applicable to this dishonest action. 66. A security manager is developing a security plan to mitigate the risks associated with the use of artificial intelligence, AI, in a new product. The manager wants to ensure the team understands the new threats posed by AI. This activity is a part of which security program component? A. Personnel security. B. Vendor agreements. C. Security awareness, education, and training. D. Business continuity planning. The correct answer is C. Security awareness, education, and training. Explanation. To address new and emerging threats, a security awareness, education, and training program must be periodically reviewed and updated. Including emerging technologies and trends like AI in the training content is a direct way to ensure the program remains effective and relevant. 67. A manager is reviewing the results of a recent security audit. The audit report identifies a system that is not following the organization's security policy. The manager decides to take no action, as the cost of fixing the system is greater than the potential damage from a security breach. What is this risk response strategy called? A. Risk avoidance. B. Risk transference. C. Risk mitigation. D. Risk acceptance. The correct answer is D. Risk acceptance. Explanation. Risk acceptance is the strategy of acknowledging a risk and choosing to take no action to reduce it, often because the cost of mitigation is higher than the potential impact of the risk. This decision must be made by management. The other options are incorrect. 68. A security manager is working with a new software development team. The manager wants to ensure that the team incorporates security considerations from the beginning of the software development lifecycle. Which of the following is the most effective approach? A. Implementing a security control framework. B. Applying threat modeling concepts. C. Conducting a business impact analysis. D. Implementing a personnel security program. The correct answer is B. Applying threat modeling concepts. Explanation. Threat modeling is a proactive process for identifying and mitigating potential threats to an application or system during its design and development phases. By applying threat modeling from the start, security is built in rather than bolted on later, which is more effective. 69. An organization has a policy that all remote access to the corporate network must use a VPN. The specific instructions on how employees should configure their VPN clients are provided in which document? A. Standard. B. Guideline. C. Policy. D. Procedure. The correct answer is D. Procedure. Explanation. A procedure provides the detailed, step-by-step instructions for an employee to follow to comply with a policy and its associated standards. In this case, the procedure would detail how to set up and use the VPN client. The other options are incorrect. 70. A security manager is responsible for protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the company's data. These three principles are collectively known as what? A. Risk management pillars. B. Security governance. C. CIA triad. D. Security control framework. The correct answer is C. CIA triad. Explanation. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability (CIA) are the three foundational principles of information security, often referred to as the CIA triad. They represent the core goals of any security program. The other options are incorrect. 71. An organization is preparing to divest a subsidiary. A manager is tasked with ensuring the smooth and secure transfer of all data and intellectual property. Which of the following is the most important security governance principle to apply? A. Due care. B. Due diligence. C. Alignment of the security function to business strategy. D. Organizational roles and responsibilities. The correct answer is C. Alignment of the security function to business strategy. Explanation. During a divestiture, the security function must be aligned with the business strategy to ensure the secure and compliant separation of assets. This involves planning for the secure transfer of data and the decommissioning of systems. The other options are part of the process, but aligning with the business strategy is the overarching principle. 72. A company is developing a new mobile application for financial transactions. A manager is concerned about the possibility of an attacker impersonating a legitimate user. Which security principle is most directly at risk? A. Availability. B. Integrity. C. Authenticity. D. Confidentiality. The correct answer is C. Authenticity. Explanation. Authenticity is the security principle that verifies that a user or system is who or what they claim to be. An attacker impersonating a user is a direct attack on authenticity. The other principles are not directly impacted. 73. A security manager is developing a program to evaluate the company's vendors and suppliers. The manager wants to ensure the program includes a method for assessing the risk of product tampering or counterfeit components. Which concept should be applied? A. Business continuity. B. Threat modeling. C. Supply chain risk management, SCRM. D. Personnel security. The correct answer is C. Supply chain risk management, SCRM. Explanation. Supply chain risk management, SCRM, is the process of identifying, assessing, and mitigating the risks associated with an organization's supply chain. This includes risks like product tampering, counterfeiting, and implants. The other options are incorrect. 74. A company is considering a new social media marketing campaign that will collect personal data from customers in multiple countries. A manager must ensure that the campaign's data collection practices are legally compliant. Which of the following is the most relevant legal issue? A. Import-export controls. B. Licensing and intellectual property. C. Issues related to privacy. D. Cybercrimes and data breaches. The correct answer is C. Issues related to privacy. Explanation. The collection of personal data is directly related to privacy laws, which vary significantly by country. The manager must ensure the company's practices comply with all relevant privacy regulations, such as the GDPR or CCPA. 75. An organization is conducting a risk assessment on its on-premise data center. The team identifies that the fire suppression system has not been tested in over a year. Which type of control has been neglected? A. Administrative. B. Technical. C. Physical. D. Corrective. The correct answer is C. Physical. Explanation. A physical control is a security measure designed to protect physical assets, such as a data center. A fire suppression system is a physical control. The lack of testing is a failure to maintain this physical control. The other options are incorrect. 76. A security manager is reviewing the company's security policies. The manager finds that some of the policies are outdated and do not address new technologies. The manager decides to update the policies to ensure they are relevant. This is an example of what? A. Due care. B. Due diligence. C. Continuous improvement. D. Risk transference. The correct answer is C. Continuous improvement. Explanation. Continuous improvement is an ongoing process of refining and enhancing an organization's security posture. By regularly reviewing and updating policies to address new technologies, the manager is ensuring the security program remains effective and is constantly improving. 77. A company is developing a new system that will store employee social security numbers. A manager wants to ensure that the data is protected from unauthorized access. Which security principle should be the primary focus? A. Availability. B. Integrity. C. Confidentiality. D. Non-repudiation. The correct answer is C. Confidentiality. Explanation. Confidentiality is the security principle that ensures data is not disclosed to unauthorized parties. Since social security numbers are highly sensitive, confidentiality is the most important principle to protect. The other principles are also important, but confidentiality is the primary concern for this type of data. 78. A security professional is tasked with investigating a potential insider threat. The professional must collect evidence in a way that will be admissible in court. Which type of investigation is being conducted? A. Administrative. B. Civil. C. Criminal. D. Regulatory. The correct answer is B. Civil. Explanation. A civil investigation is conducted to gather evidence for a legal case, such as a lawsuit or a breach of contract. A criminal investigation is conducted by law enforcement for criminal acts. An administrative investigation is internal and does not need to meet the same standards for court admissibility. A regulatory investigation is carried out by a regulatory body. 79. A security manager is implementing a program to help employees understand the importance of reporting suspicious activity. The manager wants to use a well-known methodology for training. Which of the following is most effective? A. Social engineering. B. Phishing simulations. C. Security awareness, education, and training. D. Continuous monitoring. The correct answer is C. Security awareness, education, and training. Explanation. A comprehensive security awareness, education, and training program is the most effective way to teach employees how to identify and report suspicious activity. Social engineering and phishing simulations are specific tactics used to test awareness, not the full program itself. 80. A security manager is tasked with creating a new security policy for the company. The manager wants to ensure that the policy is aligned with the company's business goals and objectives. Which security governance principle is the manager applying? A. Security control frameworks. B. Due diligence. C. Alignment of the security function to business strategy. D. Due care. The correct answer is C. Alignment of the security function to business strategy. Explanation. A core principle of security governance is to ensure that the security function supports and is aligned with the organization's business strategy, goals, mission, and objectives. By aligning the new policy with the company's business goals, the manager is ensuring security is a business enabler, not a roadblock. 81. A security professional is performing a risk assessment for a new product. The professional identifies a weakness in the product's design that could be exploited by an attacker. What is the correct term for this weakness? A. Threat. B. Exposure. C. Risk. D. Vulnerability. The correct answer is D. Vulnerability. Explanation. A vulnerability is a weakness or a flaw in a system that a threat can exploit. This is a crucial element of the risk assessment process. A threat is a potential danger, an exposure is the potential for loss, and risk is the combination of all three elements. 82. A security professional is tasked with evaluating the effectiveness of the security awareness program. The professional wants to measure the behavioral changes of employees after the training. Which of the following is the most effective way to measure the program's effectiveness? A. Tracking the number of employees who complete the training. B. Conducting phishing simulations to track click rates. C. Reviewing the number of security incidents reported. D. Asking employees to rate the quality of the training. The correct answer is B. Conducting phishing simulations to track click rates. Explanation. Conducting phishing simulations is the most direct and effective way to measure the behavioral changes of employees after security awareness training. It provides a tangible metric, click rates on malicious links, that demonstrates whether employees are applying the knowledge gained from the training in a real-world scenario. The other options are less effective measures of behavioral change. 83. A security professional is tasked with enforcing the company's acceptable use policy, AUP. An employee has been found to be accessing unauthorized websites. This is a failure of which type of security control? A. Physical. B. Technical. C. Administrative. D. Detective. The correct answer is C. Administrative. Explanation. The AUP is a procedural or administrative control, which is a policy-based measure to govern employee behavior. The failure of the employee to adhere to the policy is a direct violation of this type of control. Technical controls use technology, while physical controls protect the physical environment. A detective control would alert on the unauthorized activity. 84. A security professional is advising a company on the legal implications of a data breach. The breach involved the theft of personal data of European Union citizens. Which of the following is the most relevant regulation? A. Personal Information Protection Law, PIPL. B. General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. C. Payment Card Industry, PCI. D. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA. The correct answer is B. General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. Explanation. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, is the primary legal framework that governs the processing of personal data for individuals within the European Union. A breach involving EU citizens' data would fall under the purview of GDPR, making it the most relevant regulation. 85. A security professional is developing a new security program. The professional wants to use a framework that provides a holistic approach to IT governance. Which of the following frameworks is best suited for this purpose? A. ISO 27001. B. SABSA. C. COBIT. D. NIST SP 800-53. The correct answer is C. COBIT. Explanation. COBIT, Control Objectives for Information and Related Technology, is a framework that provides a comprehensive approach to the governance and management of enterprise IT, emphasizing the alignment of IT with business goals. The other options are more specialized. ISO 27001 is for an ISMS, SABSA is for architecture, and NIST SP 800-53 is for security controls. 86. A security professional is tasked with implementing a new security policy that requires all employees to use multi-factor authentication for remote access. This policy is an example of which type of security control? A. Physical. B. Technical. C. Administrative. D. Compensating. The correct answer is C. Administrative. Explanation. A security policy is a high-level statement of management intent, making it an administrative control. The specific implementation of multi-factor authentication itself is a technical control, but the policy mandating its use is administrative. 87. A security professional is reviewing a report that details a recent data breach. The report states that the breach resulted from an employee losing a company-issued laptop that contained unencrypted sensitive data. Which security principle was primarily violated? A. Integrity. B. Availability. C. Confidentiality. D. Non-repudiation. The correct answer is C. Confidentiality. Explanation. Confidentiality is the principle that ensures that information is not disclosed to unauthorized individuals. The loss of a laptop with unencrypted data directly compromises the confidentiality of that data, as it could be accessed by anyone who finds the laptop. 88. A security professional is conducting a business continuity planning exercise. The professional is tasked with identifying external dependencies that could impact the company's operations. Which of the following is the most important external dependency to consider? A. The local power company. B. The company's social media presence. C. The company's marketing team. D. The company's internal email system. The correct answer is A. The local power company. Explanation. The local power company is a critical external dependency because a power outage would directly impact all of the company's IT infrastructure and business operations. The other options are either internal dependencies or are less critical to the company's core operations. 89. A security professional is preparing a security budget for the upcoming fiscal year. A new government regulation requires specific technical controls to be implemented. The professional must justify the costs to senior leadership. Which security principle is the professional most directly aligning the budget with? A. Due diligence. B. Due care. C. Compliance. D. Confidentiality. The correct answer is C. Compliance. Explanation. Compliance is the act of adhering to a set of laws, regulations, standards, and policies. When a government regulation mandates specific controls, the organization is legally obligated to comply. Therefore, budgeting for these controls is directly aligning the company's financial resources with its compliance requirements. 90. A security professional is reviewing the organization's current threat landscape. A primary concern is a new form of malware that can corrupt the data stored on an organization's servers. Which of the following security principles is most at risk from this threat? A. Confidentiality. B. Availability. C. Integrity. D. Non-repudiation. The correct answer is C. Integrity. Explanation. Integrity ensures the accuracy and reliability of information and systems, and prevents unauthorized modification or corruption. Malware that corrupts data directly attacks this principle. Confidentiality protects against unauthorized disclosure, and availability ensures timely access. Non-repudiation is a security principle that ensures a party cannot deny an action. 91. A company is developing a new product. A professional is concerned about the possibility of an unauthorized person modifying the product's firmware after it has been manufactured. Which of the following supply chain risk management concepts would be most effective in mitigating this risk? A. Software Bill of Materials, SBOM. B. Service Level Agreement, SLA. C. Silicon Root of Trust, ROT. D. Third-party assessment. The correct answer is C. Silicon Root of Trust, ROT. Explanation. A silicon root of trust, ROT, is a hardware component that provides an immutable foundation for a system's security. It can be used to verify the integrity of firmware, preventing unauthorized modifications. An SBOM lists the software components in a product. An SLA defines service requirements. Third-party assessments evaluate a vendor but do not prevent tampering after the product is manufactured. 92. A security professional is advising a company on the legal implications of a data breach. The breach involved the theft of personal information of California residents. Which of the following is the most relevant regulation? A. General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. B. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA. C. California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA. D. Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, PCI DSS. The correct answer is C. California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA. Explanation. The California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, is the most relevant regulation for a data breach involving residents of California, as it provides a legal framework for data privacy rights for consumers in that state. The other regulations apply to different jurisdictions or data types. 93. A security professional is conducting a forensic investigation of a system after an employee's access was terminated for cause. The investigation is focused on determining if the employee violated the company's acceptable use policy. Which type of investigation is being conducted? A. Administrative. B. Civil. C. Criminal. D. Regulatory. The correct answer is A. Administrative. Explanation. An administrative investigation is conducted by an organization to determine if an employee has violated internal policies or procedures. It is internal and focuses on policy violations rather than legal wrongdoing. A civil investigation is for torts or breaches of contract. A criminal investigation is conducted by law enforcement for criminal acts. A regulatory investigation is carried out by a regulatory body. 94. An organization is implementing a new security program. The professional responsible for the program wants to ensure that it aligns with the company's mission and objectives. This is an example of which security governance principle? A. Due care/due diligence. B. Organizational roles and responsibilities. C. Alignment of the security function to business strategy. D. Security control frameworks. The correct answer is C. Alignment of the security function to business strategy. Explanation. The alignment of the security function to business strategy is a key security governance principle. It ensures that security is not a separate function but is an integrated part of the business, supporting its goals and objectives. The other options are incorrect. 95. A security professional is asked to review the company's risk management framework. The professional notes that while the company has strong technical controls, it lacks formal policies and procedures for handling data. Which principle of security governance is most at risk due to this imbalance? A. Confidentiality. B. Defense in depth. C. Integrity. D. Availability. The correct answer is B. Defense in depth. Explanation. Defense in depth is the use of multiple security controls in a layered approach to minimize the probability of a successful attack. A security program that focuses solely on technical controls while neglecting administrative and physical controls is unbalanced and has gaps, which directly compromise the defense in depth strategy. 96. A security professional is developing a security awareness program. The professional wants to ensure that employees are equipped to handle social engineering attacks. Which of the following is the most effective training technique? A. Gamification. B. Phishing simulations. C. Social engineering tests. D. Role-playing scenarios. The correct answer is D. Role-playing scenarios. Explanation. Role-playing scenarios are an effective way to train employees on how to react to and handle social engineering attacks. This technique provides a hands-on, practical way for employees to practice their skills in a safe environment. Phishing simulations are a specific type of social engineering test, and gamification is a broad technique to increase engagement. 97. A security professional is conducting an audit of the company's security policies. The professional discovers that the policies are inconsistent and do not provide clear guidance to employees. Which of the following is the most critical next step? A. Conduct a risk assessment. B. Revise and update the policies to be clear and consistent. C. Implement new technical controls. D. Conduct a phishing simulation. The correct answer is B. Revise and update the policies to be clear and consistent. Explanation. Clear and consistent policies are the foundation of a strong security program. If the policies are inconsistent and unclear, they cannot be properly enforced. The most critical next step is to revise and update the policies to ensure they provide clear guidance to employees. The other options are not as fundamental. 98. A security professional is asked to assess the risk of a new system. The professional identifies a threat and a vulnerability and is now determining the likelihood and impact of the threat exploiting the vulnerability. What is this step called? A. Threat modeling. B. Risk analysis. C. Vulnerability assessment. D. Continuous monitoring. The correct answer is B. Risk analysis. Explanation. Risk analysis is the process of examining the probability of a risk occurring and the potential impact of that risk. After identifying threats and vulnerabilities, the next step is to analyze the risk by combining the likelihood of a threat exploiting a vulnerability with the potential impact on the organization. 99. An organization has a policy that all confidential data must be encrypted both at rest and in transit. This policy is an example of which security principle? A. Integrity. B. Confidentiality. C. Availability. D. Non-repudiation. The correct answer is B. Confidentiality. Explanation. Confidentiality is the principle that ensures that information is not disclosed to unauthorized individuals, entities, or processes. Encryption is a technical control that directly supports the confidentiality principle by making data unreadable to unauthorized parties, both when it is stored, at rest, and when it is being transmitted, in transit. 100. A security professional is tasked with ensuring a new third-party cloud provider adheres to the company's security standards. The professional includes a clause in the contract that requires the provider to be audited annually by a third-party security firm. This clause is an example of which security concept? A. Due care. B. Due diligence. C. Licensing. D. Intellectual property. The correct answer is B. Due diligence. Explanation. Due diligence is the act of investigating a third party before entering into a contract with them. Requiring an annual audit is a proactive measure that demonstrates due diligence by ensuring the vendor maintains a sufficient level of security throughout the partnership. Due care is the ongoing, continuous effort. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. Please like this video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get updated on our latest tutorials, quizzes, and multiple choice questions, and share your thoughts or questions in the comments below.